I still remember the first time I walked into Dr. Warren's office. The soft beige walls, the faint smell of lavender, and the way he smiled at me with eyes that looked like they could see through every layer of my soul. I thought therapy was what my marriage needed, what I needed. Tom and I had been drifting for almost a year, our conversations were polite but hollow, and intimacy had all but disappeared. Every night, we lay side by side in bed, separated by more than just the thin line of empty sheets. So when Tom suggested therapy, I thought it was his way of fighting for us. I convinced myself we were both in it together, but he never came to a single session. "It's better if you work on yourself first," he told me. I was desperate enough to believe him. Dr. Warren's voice was calm, always tinged with just enough warmth to make me feel safe. "Tell me about Tom," he'd say, leaning forward, elbows on his knees, eyes fixed on mine. At first, I told him everything, the awkward silences, Tom's late nights at the office, the way I felt like a ghost in my own home. Dr. Warren listened, nodded, and told me I was brave for opening up. Over weeks, our sessions grew more intimate. He stopped sitting behind his desk and started sitting beside me on the couch. One afternoon, after a particularly emotional session where I confessed that I felt like I wasn't enough for Tom, Dr. Warren reached out, brushing a tear from my cheek with his thumb. His touch lingered, and I felt a shock run through me. I should have pulled back. Instead, I closed my eyes. That first kiss was soft, almost accidental, or so I told myself. But what followed was anything but. Our sessions blurred into hours of whispered confessions and stolen touches. My heart raced every time his hand grazed mine, every time his lips hovered close enough that I could feel his breath. I started lying to Tom. I told him therapy was helping. That I was working through everything, that I needed more sessions, 3 a week, than 4. He never questioned the invoices, maybe he didn't want to know. Or maybe he had already given up on me. In Dr. Warren's office, I felt alive in a way I hadn't in years. We started meeting outside his practice under the guise of extended sessions. Cheap motels became our sanctuaries. I told myself it was love. I told myself he understood me like Tom never could. In those moments tangled in cheap white sheets, I believed it. But something shifted. One evening, after we'd made love, I looked over at Dr. Warren as he lit a cigarette, his eyes cold and distant. I asked if he ever thought about the future, about us. He laughed softly, almost pityingly. "You're sweet," he said. "But don't get ahead of yourself." That night, for the first time, I realized I didn't know him at all. Back home, Tom barely looked up when I walked in. Dinner was cold on the table, and he was already in the living room, eyes glazed over the evening news. I wanted to scream, to tell him everything, to beg him to fight for me, for us. But I didn't. I just went upstairs, took a shower, and watched Dr. Warren send off my skin. Every session after that felt heavier, like I was sinking into something I couldn't control. I found myself needing him, craving him like a drug. Therapy had become my addiction. Dr. Warren would pull me into him the moment I arrived, as if he needed it too, but there was a chill behind his eyes now. Sometimes he'd talk about his other clients, always women, always vulnerable. It made me nauseous, but I couldn't stop. One night, Tom asked me if I still loved him. The question caught me so off guard I couldn't answer. He didn't press me. He just nodded slowly, pain flashing across his eyes before he turned away. I watched him retreat upstairs, feeling like I was losing him more with every secret I kept. I knew I couldn't keep up the lie forever. Dr. Warren started hinting that maybe Tom didn't need to know that what we had was ours alone. But I started dreading every session, feeling sick before I even got there. My heart ached with guilt, but I couldn't bring myself to end it. I still convinced myself that maybe there was something real between us. That if I could just get Dr. Warren to say he loved me, everything would make sense. But love never came. Only more secrets, more stolen hours, and more distance between me and the man I'd promised forever. The day everything unraveled started like any other. I slipped into Dr. Warren's office, heart pounding, stomach in knots. But that morning, something was different. He barely looked up from his laptop when I walked in. He mumbled a distracted greeting and gestured for me to sit. I waited for him to close the distance, to lean in with those smoldering eyes that used to make me feel wanted. But there was only coldness. "I'm transferring your case," he said, voice flat, eyes still on the screen. My breath caught. "What? Why?" He sighed, finally looking at me. "It's not ethical. I've let this go too far." His words were clinical, detached, like I was just another problem to file away. The man I'd convinced myself was my salvation sounded like he was reading from a script. I felt the floor give way beneath me. "I thought you," my voice trembled as I searched his face for a hint of the man I thought I knew. But his eyes were empty. "I care about your well-being," he interrupted curtly, "but this can't continue." The words were a death knell. Every fantasy I'd built around us, every whispered promise I'd dreamed of, crumbled. I wanted to scream, but all I could do was stare. When I finally stumbled out of his office, the sky was dark with heavy clouds. I felt like everyone on the street could see the stain on me, like they knew what I'd done. My feet moved on autopilot until I found myself in front of my house. Tom's car was in the driveway. My heart hammered with panic. I didn't know what he knew, but I could feel something was waiting inside. When I walked through the door, Tom was sitting at the kitchen table, a folder open in front of him. I froze when he looked up. His eyes, usually calm and patient, burned with a quiet rage. "Sit down, Justine," he said, voice low but steely. My legs gave way, and I sank into the chair across from him. He turned the folder toward me. Inside were photographs, pictures of me entering Dr. Warren's office, of me leaving motels, of me wrapped around him in stolen moments I thought no one saw. My stomach churned. "How long?" Tom asked. His voice was deadly calm. My mouth opened, but no words came. Tears welled in my eyes, but I couldn't look away from the betrayal laid out in glossy prints on the table. "I trusted you," he continued, voice breaking. "I believed in you. Even when things got hard, I told myself we'd get through it. But you were here," he jabbed a finger at a picture of me kissing Dr. Warren, lying to me every day. I reached out, desperate to touch him, to find any trace of the man who used to love me. But he recoiled, pushing his chair back so hard it scraped against the floor. The sound was deafening. "I'm filing for divorce," he said. His words felt like a blade slicing through me. "I already talked to a lawyer. I have everything I need." My chest tightened painfully. "Please, Tom, I'm so sorry," I whispered. "I didn't mean for this to happen. I was lost, "Stop," he said sharply. "This wasn't an accident. You made a choice. Every single time, you chose this. You chose him over me." The truth of his words shattered what little defense I had left. I buried my face in my hands, sobbing. But Tom stood, his face a mask of pain and disgust. "I loved you more than anything," he said quietly, almost to himself. "But I don't know who you are anymore. And I don't want to." I heard him walk up the stairs, his footsteps heavy, final. Minutes later, he came down with a packed bag slung over his shoulder. "I'll stay at a hotel tonight," he said without meeting my eyes. "The lawyer will be in touch." And then he was gone, the front door closing with a soft click that echoed louder than any slam. I sat alone in the kitchen for hours, the folder still open in front of me. Every photograph was a reminder of the fantasy I had traded my marriage for, a fantasy that dissolved the moment Dr. Warren decided I was no longer worth the risk. I realized I had destroyed everything real in my life for a fleeting illusion of being wanted. The following days were a blur of empty rooms and endless nights. Tom's side of the closet was cleared out, his toothbrush gone from the bathroom. His scent lingered on his pillow, a cruel ghost of what we used to have. One afternoon, I drove past Dr. Warren's office. A for-lease sign hung in the window. He was gone, vanished like smoke, leaving me with nothing but the wreckage of my choices. I sat in the car, staring at the dark windows, feeling more alone than I'd ever imagined possible. I thought therapy would save me. I thought love could be found in secrets and shadows. But all I found was a hollow reflection of myself, someone I barely recognized. It's been 3 weeks now. I spend every day trying to piece myself together, But every night, I lie awake haunted by what I've lost, a man who once looked at me with eyes full of love, and a future that could have been. And as I sit here writing this, I wonder if redemption is possible. Or if some choices truly can't be undone.